Well, it's looking like the Michigan State versus Minnesota game will not be rescheduled, but should we be angry at Rutgers over there in New Jersey for all of this drama? Let's find out.
Are Locked On Spartans, your daily podcast on the Michigan State Spartans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Spartan friends, Spartan family, Locked On Spartans listeners, thank you so much for tuning in to a bonus episode of Locked On Spartans. That's right, we usually do this 5 days a week, but this drama going on in the Big Ten with the scheduling. We had to throw a sixth episode out there this week, but hey, before going any further, this little episode of Locked On Spartans is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, official sportsbook of Locked On. Make every moment more. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn today to get started. All right, so the buzz going around online right now is all about this Minnesota versus Michigan State game that was postponed last week on Wednesday in the wake of the tragedy on campus. Now, Izzo spoke late on Thursday after practice that, he's actually a little disappointed that the Big Ten hasn't been more transparent with everything going on. And then after Rutgers lost to Michigan, Coach Peichel of Rutgers was asked, hey, what's the rest of your schedule looking like? Are you going to move any games around to help Michigan State here? And the answer was essentially, no, we're not. Nope. Sorry, guys, but we're just going to play our schedule here. Now, to make some sense of this, maybe you're a little confused why I'm bringing Rutgers into the mix here. There's not a lot of days left in the regular season. And for this Michigan State versus Minnesota game to be fit in the rest of the year, where each team can have at least a day break between games, Rutgers versus Minnesota would have to be moved up a little bit into the week. They did not want to move their game to Tuesday because, well, for Rutgers, that would mean they've played Thursday, Sunday, and then Tuesday. There was talk that, hey, maybe you could slide your Sunday game up Saturday, but regardless, that'd be 3 games in 6 days here this late into the season. And also for Rutgers, that would also mean 2 road games in 3 days for them as well. So that's the explanation for Rutgers right there. And understandably, or maybe not understandably so, you can form your own opinion here. There's a lot of Michigan State fans that are not happy with what's going on at Rutgers, happy with Steve Peichel at all there. So, and look, I get why people are upset at Rutgers. I mean, God, just the optics of this aren't good whatsoever. Michigan State going through some things right now. And for Peichel to say essentially like, we're not going to help you reschedule a game. Sorry about that. Because, look, it's one thing to not have games rescheduled because of COVID as of late, but maybe another because, well, what had this game postponed was a horrible tragedy that happened on campus. But look, it's also maybe upsetting for us Michigan State fans because, well, the guy in charge here, Tom Izzo, we all know what he would have done. This man would schedule a doubleheader on the road at 2 different locations if it meant that his team gets to play more and helping out other people. Actually, there's a real life example of this. During the COVID year when Michigan State was shut down for more than 2 weeks, Tom Izzo agreed to have games rescheduled to the point where it was 3 road games in 6 days for his Spartans. And that road trip did not go well whatsoever. And also, hey, if you're a Michigan State fan that's angry to be robbed of another home game, completely understandable. There is a finite number of those, and now there's just 1 home game left on the schedule, senior day next Saturday, instead of having 2 home games. And really, also, maybe we just should be mad at the Big Ten after all, right? They are ultimately the rule makers in this whole thing. They are the deciders of things, or so we thought, right? Why did this even come down to Rutgers in the first place? You are the governing body. Big Ten should just go into Piscataway and say, you don't want to move up your day or your game just 1 day? Huh. Well, too bad. You are. Arrange your flights, rearrange your hotels. You're going to help Michigan State here. So for me, it's not so much anger at Rutgers. It's just disappointment at the Big Ten and just no real authority there whatsoever. Because believe me, I get why Rutgers said no. And this is why I'm not up in arms angry at Rutgers. I get everyone that is very upset at Rutgers, at Pikel, their select department. But for me, I'm not just furious at them. And let me explain why. Us Michigan State fans, and what we just talked about with Izzo, how he would schedule double headers if he had the chance to, I don't think that's normal in college basketball. Yes, there are coaches like that would, happily do that. But I think as a whole, putting a team through that gauntlet, especially this late in the season, is probably the majority of what coaches would not like to do. And also, we also got to look at what's going on with Rutgers right now. They look terrible right now. They've lost 4 of their last 5. I'm sure any inconvenience does not look great for Steve Pikel, for his team moving forward. Yes, he should be thinking about Michigan State, you might say, but he also should be looking out for his team too, and they are slipping. Right now, Bracketology has them as a 9 seed in March. They hit the road to Penn State this weekend. That could very well be a loss. So, yeah, any sign of turbulence, I think I would try to avoid if I was the Rutgers head coach as well. And also, there's not going to be any shortage of games to be played this late this season. You have the Big Ten tournament on the horizon, or should they even make March Madness? You want fresh legs, or somewhat of fresh legs, for that tournament as well. So I get it from the Rutgers point of view. And I'm sorry if that is going to upset some people. I get it. Because, yeah, optically, just PR-wise, looks terrible. But, look, if you're the head coach of Rutgers and things are going the way they are and you want any semblance of simplicity to end your season, I think I would take it too if I was Pikel. Now, there's a big concern, too, among state fans about what this is going to do for Big Ten tournament seeding and NCAA seeding. There's a lot of chatter about that, like, hey, we want that Minnesota game. It's going to help with Big Ten tournament seeding. And I'm here to tell you that's actually not true. Mostly. There are some very rare circumstances where adding this game would help the seeding, but really, for Michigan State, there is almost nothing that can be done with or without this Minnesota game. Now, the biggest game coming up is Saturday. If Michigan State wins Saturday and then they win their next 2 games, they beat Nebraska and Ohio State. If they win out, they pretty much have a double bye locked up for the Big Ten tournament. Now, it's pretty simple. If you lose any of the next 3 games, then okay, you're only getting the single bye. There are some really rare circumstances. I was on this website all day. I'll throw it in the YouTube description below and the podcast description, but it's bball.notnothing.net, and you can play around with all the situations to end the season. I spent way too much time on this. If Michigan State loses Saturday, there is a circumstance where they can get in, but no, this is a long way of saying that the Minnesota game is irrelevant for Big Ten tournament seeding in 98% of circumstances. Really, the easiest one is, hey, if you win out, you get the double bye. If you lose any of these next 3 games, you are going to be starting the Big Ten tournament on Thursday. Now, some of this seeding is, okay, it's between a 6 seed or maybe a 7 seed if they have this game added, but even then, not really. So I just want to dispel that right now, is that this Minnesota game really doesn't have much to do with Big Ten seeding. Now, NCAA seeding, if anyone is worried about that, what a Minnesota game can do to NCAA seeding, it does even less than what it would do to Big Ten tournament seeding. Look, the Buffalo win was more impressive. The Brown win was more impressive. The Portland win was more impressive. And this isn't me doing one of my bits where I'm trying to be Mr. Haha funny guy. No, all those 3 teams are higher in the net rankings than Minnesota. Minnesota is atrocious. Atrocious. A win against them would do absolutely positively nothing to Michigan State's seed line in March. Whereas a loss, okay, you can actually lose a seed line by losing to Minnesota. Now, would they lose to Minnesota? Bart Torvik has you as a 16-point favorite in that game. It'd be very unlikely they lose. But it is a risk for a sensationally low reward when it comes to NCAA tournament seeding. I mean, I quite literally cannot think of a more irrelevant conference game in my lifetime than Spartans versus Gophers this late in the season. It would mean almost nothing. So if you're worried about that, I'm here to tell you, don't worry about that. It's all going to be okay. Now, I did hear some people say, like, this game could be a real good rallying point for the team. They get another home game, start feeling good about themselves. And to those people, respectfully, were you sleeping on Tuesday night? Did you miss the home game when they beat top 20 Indiana by 15 points? There is nothing they could do against Minnesota that would make them feel any better than how they felt after Tuesday night's game. You want the rah-rah rallying cry. You want this team feeling good about themselves. That happened. That happened on Tuesday against a top 20 team, not a team that's rated outside of the top 200 in the net rankings. And hey, also, let's say this game was rescheduled for next week. Do you know what that would mean? That would mean a game on Saturday, a game on Tuesday, a game on Thursday, a game on the next Saturday. That's 4 games in 8 days. Ahead of a Big Ten tournament where you could be playing back-to-back, dare I say, to back games. Right now, Michigan State is trimming their lineup now down to 7 guys, sometimes 8. And it's not like we've had injury issues so far this season. No, that never happens. Okay, of course it does. 40 minutes against Minnesota just seems like 40 unnecessary minutes where you're only risking injury. And I just, look, I get it. I get why people are upset. I get why people are disappointed, but from Big Ten tournament seeding, okay, from NCAA tournament seeding to just the unnecessary risk for this team, I think maybe actually Rutgers kind of maybe somewhat saved Michigan State from a really bad idea of rescheduling this completely irrelevant game. No disrespect to Minnesota. Ben Johnson, I'm really rooting for you over there. You seem like a great guy, but good God, it's just a terrible season over there for them. So no, whatever losing sleep is, I'm doing the opposite of losing sleep over this one. But yeah, at the end of the day, too, just be mad at the Big Ten. God, just grow up, grow a pair. All right. Hey, before we get you out the door here, FanDuel Sportsbook. Oh, it's the best time of the year. Yeah, no, there's no football, but it gets exciting during basketball season, especially conference tournaments coming up. We got March Madness coming up. And if you are a new FanDuel Sportsbook customer, you're going to get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's right. You get bonus bets back if your first bet doesn't win, up to 1,000 smackaroos. Just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app. It's safe, secure, super easy to use, and you get paid instantly by Mr. FanDuel. You are not sitting around for days just waiting for that money to hit your account. No, he doesn't horse around. You get paid immediately with FanDuel. And, hey, that's right. You could even raise your payday with the same game parlays, just like I did last Tuesday. It was a great time. So don't miss your chance to get on the action of the no sweat first bet up to $1,000 in bonus bets when you go to FanDuel.com/lockedon. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon to learn more. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NBA.